Hey guys, Dave from Timber Time Outdoors. Welcome to the channel, everybody. In this video, we are going to compare and contrast the two top-selling HVAC work UTVs on the market today. Stay with us, guys. All right, guys, on my right, as you can see here, I've got the Can-Am Defender Max, and over here we have the Polaris Ranger NorthStar Edition. These two UTVs make up about 65% of the sales in the UTV market today. Everybody wants to be comfortable. And so what we're going to talk about are my top three and go a little bit beyond that in terms of how to compare these two vehicles. But what is most important to me and my wife, number one, is being quiet. We want temperature control. In other words, we don't want it to be so hot we get tired in about an hour. And then the third thing that's really important to us is a super smooth ride. Now, these vehicles are super close. If you're looking at both of them, I don't think you can actually make a mistake between one or the other. But let's dive into the details and really kind of peel the onion. Before we get into all the details about decision criteria and whatnot, I want to tell you right now, I bought one of these machines. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you which machine I actually bought. So my wife and I have been on a journey here. I'll tell you a little bit about it. About 3 years ago, we had a Wolverine. So Yamaha Wolverine was kind of that hybrid machine. And we ended up selling that machine. It was really hot, it was really loud, and it really wasn't that smooth. So we had that Wolverine, we ended up getting rid of that, we didn't like it. Then we started renting machines. So we rented a Polaris General, really liked that machine, super smooth, but it was a little louder. And on a hot day, of course, you know, there's no HVAC system. The second machine we rented was a Polaris Razor, one of the new Razor XP 1000s. Thought it was going to be super smooth, and it was. However, it was so loud. I mean, it was just deafening, and again, it was just way too hot without an HVAC system. So really, I kind of, you know, that research narrowed it down to these HVAC machines. They hold their value. So I kind of settled in on that, and really these are the top two on the market. I think Kawasaki has one out now, but these are the two we're going to compare, so let's get after it. All right, the first topic is HVAC systems. Yep, they both have them. They both work really well. There's only really one difference in my mind. This one is digitally controlled. This one is kind of old school, simple manual dials controlled and a push button. So if one of those appeals to you, in other words, the electronic one, you set it to a temperature just like your car, holds it at that temperature. This one here, you got to kind of play with the hot cold dial to get it how you want it. My personal opinion on that is I kind of like the simpler system, but they both work really well. These cabs are small enough where I don't know that you really need that digital control, but hey, if that appeals to you, then go for it. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is ride quality. Now keep in mind that these are work machines, okay? So they're not necessarily designed for trails. They're not designed to go super fast. However, you know, they both do, you know, 60 plus miles an hour. So they will go fast. They're not going to do the whoops or anything like that for you, but they're going to get, you know, most general trail riding, they're going to get it done for you. They're going to get you where you want to go. The Can-Am has an advantage, I would say, because it has bigger wheels. So you got a 30-inch tire factory. The Polaris is a little bit smaller at 29. That doesn't sound like a big difference, but it actually is pretty noticeable between the two when you ride them. Suspension-wise, super close. You know, Polaris is kind of known for that pillowy, floaty ride. So I think, you know, their suspension, even though they're not high-end shocks or anything, the Polaris suspension system is a little plush compared to this one. I'm splitting hairs, guys. They both ride about the same way. They're going to get the job done. You're just not going to be able to do it at 70 miles an hour. It's really that simple. So to me, ride quality is the same between the two for the most part. Okay, the other thing that comes into play when you talk about ride quality is actually the seat. And the seats in these two machines are very, very different. The Can-Am, I would say, has a thicker pad. It's got more bolstering. The way they do the split seat is a little bit different. And when you first compare the two, this one seems like the way to go in terms of seat comfort. Polaris took a little bit different approach to their design. You know, the Ranger is designed for work, getting in and out of the thing a lot. So, you know, the seat that they put in this one is geared towards that person who's getting in and out of a lot. But I would say this, they've done an excellent job with the bolstering on the back. So you do feel comfortable on your back. The bench is much flatter than the Can-Am, but when you first sit on it, you're gonna say, oh, it's too hard. But give it a chance. And I don't know if you guys have time to do this test, but sit in that machine for 30 minutes and sit in that machine for 30 minutes and you will actually notice a pretty big difference. This one actually supported me better than that one. The cushy seat, you kind of sink in. You, again, splitting hairs, but if I had to give an edge for me, I actually preferred this seat, but that's a very subjective thing. You guys need to figure that out. But definitely a difference when it comes to ride quality and comfort in the seats. So check that out for sure. And since we're talking about comfort, I'm going to jump in here inside the Polaris. This is my wife talking, not necessarily me. Sorry about the lighting here. The Polaris has done a much better job with all the little cubbies. We got storage here. We've got 2 glove boxes, cup holders, and more cup holders. Little cubbies here. There's one right there. There's a really cool water bottle holder and another netting thing right here. And this was her favorite feature right here, actually. Flip this seat up and you got a great big spot over here. I think Polaris has done an excellent job with the interior. Let's jump over into the Defender and I'll show you what she didn't like about that one. All right, we're jumping up in the Defender. Super nice seats. So we got 2 cup holders. I guess you could kind of say there's one there in the door. Just, I don't know, there's just a lot less storage in this one. You can flip this seat up. You could argue that this is, I don't know, I just feel like that's pretty unusable. Yeah, you can take it out. My wife thought that was kind of stupid. She wanted to have the whole space for herself under there. There is a nice spot right here, actually. And then this right here, she actually didn't like. You know, some people might like this little lunchbox. I guess it's a toolbox. I don't know. It just seems kind of overkill. So I know there's a little cubby right there. Kind of splitting hairs, guys, but my wife did really like the interior of the Polaris versus the Defender, but you know, they're both nice. All right, next we're going to talk about noise. And I don't have any fancy, you know, decibel meters or frequency type of measurement tool here. So kind of subjective with my ears. The test that I gave these 2 machines was conversation. Could I sit next to my significant other, my wife, whoever's with me, and have a conversation at speed? In other words, 35, 40 miles an hour. Can we understand each other without screaming at each other or wearing a headset? That was kind of the criteria for me. So no, I'm not looking for super, super quiet, but enough to, you know, engage the person next to you without, you know, screaming at them. Both of these vehicles do that. They both pass that test. Now, you take it one step further and you're like measuring exhaust noise and that kind of thing, you know, inside the cab. They both do an excellent job of using sound dampening in the head, behind the seat. I would say both cabs are very quiet, but if you really wanted to split hairs here, the engine noise on this one versus the engine noise on this one, it has a different sound note. Decibel wise, they got to be within a couple decibels, which you wouldn't be able to notice. But the sound note on this one, because it's a, you know, it's a V versus an inline, is a little, I would say, more pleasing or a little more quiet. But to be honest, you know, I was just going with the conversation criteria. So it's kind of a toss-up. They both pass from my use. All right, next we're going to talk about transmissions. Very, very different between these 2 machines. And so this actually might be a decision criteria for you. Dive into this a little bit if you're looking at these. The transmission on this and the transmission on this are not even in the same ballpark. Polaris redesigned their transmission. It's just buttery smooth. I'm so impressed with the work that Polaris has done. you know, their original Rangers, which I think, you know, we have one on the deer farm that's like a 2003. It's pretty brutal. But this machine is not your father's Oldsmobile. This is an awesome transmission. It's buttery smooth. You've probably seen the videos about what they've changed for the 2025 model. By the way, this is a 2025, this is a 2024. A lot smoother. Can-Am just has that super clunky, weird shifter that goes side by side. Personally, I don't care for their transmission. I like the Polaris transmission, but you need to test drive them and see what you like. That's what I noticed between the two. Smooth, maybe not so smooth. Now, as you move, you get, you know, shifting. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you're shifting them. When you're at speed and moving, you can't really tell a difference between the two. All right, another big difference between these two is their power steering systems and how they feel through the wheel. Again, another big improvement for Polaris. They've come a long ways. You can one finger this steering wheel. It is really, really smooth. Now, if you're a guy that likes to go super fast, you may not like that, but I do because I don't go fast. So I like the fact that this thing is no effort whatsoever to turn it, to park it, to go backwards. Really easy. Sometimes I wonder if this thing even has power steering. It's that different for me. Rather stiff. That might be good when you're going down a trail and want some more feel. You might actually like this better. Personally, I like the Polaris just because of slow movements and the easy of turning the steering wheel. All right, we're kind of getting down the list of things that I compared between the two. So I want to talk about cab visibility and the ability to lock the doors. Okay, probably pretty minor stuff, right? Cab visibility, this one has more glass. And so from that regard, that's a nice feature. You know, when you look over your shoulder and so forth, there's less, you know, pillars and whatnot in your way. This is a fishbowl. So great visibility that way. I think where the Polaris maybe has an edge on this one is your seating position. So if you're a sightseer, and again, we're splitting hairs here, folks, you're sitting up a little more, you can kind of see out in front of you. If you're looking for rocks, I think this one does a better job of letting you see the trail and letting you see what's out in front of you. But if you're going 360 view, this one kind of wins that one. Okay, locking the doors, why would you care about that? Two things maybe. You know, if you are out hunting somewhere and you got to leave something behind, you're probably going to want to lock it. Now, there's other ways to lock stuff. You could have something in the bed and it's not a big deal. But let's say you are maybe taking it out to dinner. People do that, use these things like cars. Your wife wants to leave her purse in there or something. The Polaris still has a locking door. This one does not. I don't know why they didn't put that feature on there, but they don't have it. What they do have is a nice automotive style latch, which I do like. Polaris kind of uses this weird little paddle thing that's more like an RV door. Again, splitting hairs here. You can lock this, but the latch is weird. Can't lock this, but it's a much better door handle. All right, let's talk maintenance and serviceability. There's something I don't like about this one when it comes to serviceability. You have to have the dealer turn the little wrench off when you have to do an oil change or anything like that. You got to bring it to the dealership and they have to plug it in. It's kind of a safety thing so they can reflash things and make sure that you get current software. I understand that. But if you don't live close to a dealer, it's a huge pain in the neck. So that's one thing I don't like about this. Accessing everything, it's fine. You flip open the, you know, the bed box and you can get at everything. This one's maybe slightly more difficult than the Polaris. Polaris makes their service super, super easy. You know, you can get at the belt, you can get at the filters, no trouble whatsoever. Now, Polaris has got a reputation for maybe a little less reliability out there. You know, you can go down a rabbit hole with that one. Here's what I can tell you about this particular machine. It now has a 2-year warranty. That tells me that Polaris has fixed a bunch of stuff. They wouldn't warranty something for 2 years versus their old one, which was like 3 months, 6 months, something like that. Now they're going 2 years. That's not just a marketing thing. Their engineering team has fixed a lot of stuff and they are now backing it with a good warranty. And so if I had to give an edge between these two, I'm going with Polaris because of the warranty, the ease of service, and I don't have to turn the darn wrench off at a dealership, I can do it. It turns itself off, or you can reset it right on the computer. So I do like the serviceability and reliability of the Polaris. All right, 2 more points to talk about. One is 4-wheel drive systems, and the other one is price. We'll get price out of the way. It's almost the same. You know, they're both pushing $30,000. Where you can kind of split hairs with price is, you know, the Defender Limited, you got 1 model to choose from, and that's it. Polaris offers 2 models. Actually, at the time I purchased this one, there was actually 3 models. They're going back to 2. So Premium and the Ultimate. The Ultimate comes with the screens and the backup cameras. It's got every bell and whistle. It's the most expensive one, but you get more. The Can-Am Defender's kind of right in between the premium price and the Ultimate price, but they're all within a couple $1,000s of each other. You know, rebates are going to impact that. To be honest, I don't think price is going to be a decision factor between the two unless one of these companies comes out with a crazy rebate. They're both just under $30,000. Some are between 26 and 33, depending on how they're featured up and which model you pick. 4-wheel drive systems, different. So Polaris has had an automatic 4-wheel drive system forever and ever. You either love that or you hate that. Personally, I'm a fan. You push the button, you don't get stuck. I've never gotten stuck in my Polaris. No, I'm not a super off-road mud guy or anything like that, but the 4-wheel drive system in here is very automatic, very hands-off. Here, you've got a little more control. It's more locking differentials in the front end and so forth. Some guys are gonna like that. It's a little more positive. They're both gonna get you out of trouble. There isn't a situation where one of these machines is gonna get stuck and one isn't. This one has a little higher ground clearance, but not by much, and that's just because of the bigger wheels. Personally, don't think the 4-wheel drive systems are gonna make a difference, but you be the judge on that. All right, so the moment you've been waiting for, which one did we choose? Price, like I said, was the same between the two, so which one did we pick? We actually bought this machine right here. So we bought the Polaris. There was some excellent rebates. I mentioned all the things that I did like about the Polaris, and as you can probably tell, I'm a Polaris fanboy. I'm not bad-mouthing the Can-Am whatsoever. It's awesome. You know, I can't say enough good about both machines. All right, guys, so if you want to see more videos on the Polaris Ranger XP 1000 NorthStar Edition, hit that subscribe button. All right, we're gonna wrap this video up. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Like, subscribe, send it to your friends, and remember, everybody, keep it in the timber. Bye-bye.